Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to represent Lakestar. I don't think you guys know us in Poland, which is a pity, but it's actually our fault. So I would like to spend 1 minute just telling you who we are. Lakestar is a Guernsey-based venture capital fund. We're currently deploying 400 million euros. We have offices in London, Berlin, Zurich, New York, and Hong Kong. We are originally an early stage investor, so seed and Series A, but as the fund is quite big, we have also written growth tickets. So within my lifetime at Lakestar, we've done everything between 100K and 25 million euros. So on the European market, we pretty much cover the entire spectrum. 2/3 of that is in Europe, 1/3 is Asia and US. We do not have a clear profile. We've invested in fintech, we've invested in robotics, AI, drones, all sorts of things. And so rather than having a profile, we like to think that we invest in best teams with the boldest vision. My role at Lakestar is that of a general counsel, which means that I take care of all the transactions. So if Lakestar picks your startup as a target, as a potential portfolio company, you'll be dealing with the investment manager, and then you'll be seeing a lot of myself. Which means I take care of the initial due diligence, the term sheet, everything through the contract negotiation, due diligence, and then finally having us in the cap table as one of your partners. So today I wanted to focus on the most practical information that I can give you from my perspective, as is the startup arena, and tell you about 3 instances during that process, which is term sheet, due diligence, and then having VC as, part of the crazy trip that is startup building. And before I focus on this, top level impressions that I have, I want to tell you what I think the most important aspect of the interaction between startups and VC is. And that is, and I cannot stress this enough, is trust. It's about creating a process and a relationship which is open and trustworthy for the time to come. And this relationship between a VC and a startup can last up to a decade. And during that time, we either win together or we lose together. So it's very important to pick a partner that's in line with your DNA and with the vision of the company that you have. And I understand that this is hard for a startup. You're trying to get the best deal while opening your books and showing your vulnerabilities, right? It's a difficult situation. But I want to, tell you that good VCs know that if you're an early stage investment, you don't have everything figured out. And that's okay, because you're early in the journey. And if you are a later stage investment, then either you do have it under control, which you probably do, because otherwise the numbers would not work and you would not have attracted our attention, or you don't. But either way, we find out. So trust is really the most important element here. So let me move on to those 3 stages that I just quickly want to talk to you about. So firstly, the term sheet. So just a refresher, it's a summary of the terms of the transactions, which is non-binding. But in my personal opinion, it is quite binding. And I'm a lawyer, so maybe the only thing that I understand are contracts. And they're binding because of 2 reasons. First is exclusivity. So the moment you sign a term sheet with a VC, both the parties are supposed to focus on the relationship. So us on due diligencing you, and you on making sure that we're the best partner for the journey. So you limit your options. And the second one is reputation. If you're a VC that pulls out of term sheets, you will very quickly have a bad reputation of wasting startups' time and also money, because startups have financing cycles and you want to be on time with your next financing round. And on the other hand side, if you use Lakestar's term sheet, which is a stamp of approval, we get quite annoyed as well. So this is, again, something where trust plays an extremely important role. What are the top level 4 things that we look for when we're signing a term sheet? What are the terms? I can break them down into 4 categories without going into details. That's upside protection, downside protection, control, and commitment. Upside protection means that we want to be part of your selling process, right? So if we put on $10 million, all of a sudden, on paper, you have a fair market value and your participation is worth a lot of money. But we have an obligation to realize certain gains, so a selling process should be something that you consult your VC on. The downside protection is quite easy. The last money in is the last money out. It's liquidation preference, quite standard in VC. Control, meaning that although we're a minority shareholder, we want to be an active part of your process, meaning that, for example, if you want to increase your capital, which diminishes our participation, we want to be part of that conversation as well. And in the end, commitment, which, especially in the early stage investments, is of crucial importance because we invest in an idea and the people behind it. So those bold entrepreneurs that are willing to spend years developing the vision. And we ask them to, stay bound to the company for a certain amount of time. Once we get the term sheet through, we focus on the due diligence. So we want to get to know you as well as only possible. And this seems to be a scary process, but actually it's not. And I would like you to think about it the opposite of Miranda warning. So everything you tell me, we cannot use against you. Because we've seen it, we have that information, and because we moved forward with the investment, it means that we're comfortable with this. So use that process to your advantage, and rather than fearing it, spam me with as much information as you can. You protect yourself that way. And there's no misalignment of expectations, and we can help very quickly on if we see that, okay, this is an area where you're not so strong in. So again, to give you a very top level of what are the first three things that we look at are corporate structure, IP, and numbers. Corporate structure means that I want every share and shareholder to be accounted for because I want to understand the interests within your company and who's behind those shares. And also 5 years down the line, I don't want to hear that, there is this guy that I have a trust agreement with and he's actually the owner of those shares. So it's the accountability of your cap table. The second one is IP. It's the intellectual property. And this is, again, something that's geared more towards early stage investments. And it means that the technology that we invest in is pretty much all there is in early stage investments. So I want to make sure that everything belongs to the company, not to the founders, but to the company that we invest in. And this means it's not licensed from someone, it's not licensed to someone, but all the technology is in-house. And I'm quite paranoid about this. This is probably the one thing that I'm most paranoid about, because it means that everybody that touches your fintech technology should be under an agreement, or there should be a clear relationship that they have transferred their rights to the company. And we had a situation where a brilliant student was using a computer at his polytechnic and created this amazing algorithm that we wanted to invest in. And it took forever because actually the school had rights on that IP because the student was using the university infrastructure. So I'm very paranoid about this, and so should you. Because once the company is worth something, nobody will transfer it for free. And the last one is numbers. And I know that this is also a difficult subject for early stage investments, so for early startups, because you don't even have numbers to track. But still, I think we like to see that you try to define your business and objective criteria of how you can track your business. And what we like the most is the budget versus actuals. So it actually, you show that you're tracking and that hopefully you're calibrating your predictions better and better in order to see that you're learning about your business and learning about your market product fit. So those are the three things that we look at first. There are numerous other things that we look at, but those are, I would say, the first things that interest us. And so once we close this process, we're in the same boat. And this is the actual beginning of a corporation that should last a lifetime of a startup. And I know I preached a little bit about trust, but I need to preach a little bit more again, because it's absolutely fundamental that you pick a VC that you feel so comfortable with that if things are not going right, or even if they're going slow, you pick up the phone and you ask for help. And you're not worried that this will destroy your reputation or the standing that you have. Good VCs have a lot of in-house knowledge on marketing, on hiring, on scaling, building organizations, about the markets that you potentially want to enter. use that to your advantage. And we want to help. We want to be smart money. The investors behind that money are passionate about the startups, and they want to be part of that journey. And it's a great pity when we see startups that we have invested in, and the founders are in this constant selling mode, you know, because they want us to invest in the next round. And all I can say to that is that as a startup, and I hope there's lots of you right now here, as a startup, you deserve better. It's not hard to find someone who invests in companies that are going great, you know, and continue to invest if it's going great. You need to find someone who's got your back, who shares the DNA, who shares the vision, and is willing to, you know, go on the journey with you and take the time and money in order to, in order to finish or realize the vision that you have started. So thank you for your attention. And I don't know, do you have time for questions? No, okay. Thank you very much for your attention.